Hello there. Why does this keep cutting off my head? Come on now. Stop leaning to the right. Be centered. No, this thing pisses me off. I don't even have that backlight on. Anyway, welcome back to Tubi Tuesday, and we're looking at Heathers from 1988, a movie that I've heard about, seen the poster all over the place. People talk about this one of the best movies of the 80s. Okay, you know, a lot of these are ones that, I've wanted to watch for a long time, or, I want to get my eyes on. Clifford, I had always seen the trailer on Disney Channel, and I've heard a lot about this one, so, yeah, I put it on the list. This movie is surreal. I mean, for real, it's surreal. I don't know what to think about this movie, man. What's the story? That's what we gotta do. What's the story? The story is Winona Ryder plays Veronica, who goes to this school and wants to be a part of this group called the Heathers, which doesn't, right from the bat, I'm confused, because the Heathers are all named Heather, and it seems as if those are their birth names. So, Veronica is trying to be a part of this group, but her name's not Heather, so it doesn't really make any lot of sense. And the group as a whole, her wanting to get into the group doesn't really hold much onto the plot, have anything really to do with the plot. The plot concerns J.D., played by Christian Slater, who comes in and is this rebel kid who helps Veronica get rid of the problems in her life, basically, through means that are not very legal. Yeah. Let me just say, and you can say this about a lot of movies from the 80s and early 90s, you could not make a movie like this today. You could not. Some of the stuff that they say, this is basically a suicide movie. I'm not monetized, I'm fine. It's a suicide movie. Basically. Like, they're killing people, but they're making it look like it's suicides, but just, that subject matter plus other subject matter is, I don't know. But Veronica is, like, she's from this somewhat rich family. They play croquet, so they must be rich. And they drink pate, which is pate. It's pate, not pate. It's not like you're gonna go to the potty. I don't know. So they're rich-ish, I guess. And she's trying to be a part of this popular snobby bitchy group called the Heathers, but she's not Heather. She's not a Heather. I still don't understand it. After watching this movie, I still don't understand it. It's confusing. But we have some notable stars besides Winona Ryder and Christian Slater. Shannon Doherty is one of the Heathers. Renee Estevez, sister of Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, is also in this movie. Barely, but she's here. She's in a horror movie called Intruders. She's been in other things, but wasn't she in one of the sleepaway camps, I think? The second one? I think she was the main girl in the second one, I think. Besides Angela, but yeah. And I don't know. Veronica seems like she's like a normal teen, but she's one of those teenagers that wants to be popular. Well, she is rich, I guess, but she wants to be popular, and she's one of those that seems to not care how she gets there, but that's not entirely true. But yeah, so one day Heathers and Veronica are doing some sort of quiz. Like, if you won $1 million but aliens invaded 2 days later, what would you spend the money on? a nuke to blow up the aliens? I don't know. What's the answer here? I don't know. What kind of stupid question? Like JD's question, that's Christian Slater's character. He's like, oh, I go to an island, grab some music, my sax, and six pack, and just relax. Like he's gonna let it happen, which tells you his mentality in this movie. Like he's, anarchy and whatnot, which of course turns Veronica on because that girls like the bad boys. It's not always the case, So, yeah, she's immediately attracted to him. There's a weird thing that happens where she's writing in her diary that has no payoff. I thought maybe it would be something in the end where she'd write in it, or they were gonna find a diary. I was convinced that by the end of this, because she's writing everything in this diary, she's gonna get away, like JD's gonna blow up the thing, but then they're gonna find her diary, and she's gonna end up going to jail for all this, thinking that she was complicit because of the stuff she was writing. Although a lot of the writing doesn't necessarily, but you could write it out as it's a confession. I don't know. There was also a point where she fakes her death by suicide to convince JD that she did it, and the mom walks in, and I went, oh, she's gonna grab the diary and read it and connect. No, she pretty much immediately admits that she's not really dead. But no. So Veronica goes with one of the Heathers to this college party. Veronica ends up getting sick. Also, they make a big point of pointing out this dumpster fire that she accidentally starts, but it doesn't really do anything. I thought it was gonna be revealed that the college, whatever, the dorm where they were at, burned down, but it just doesn't go anywhere. Also, these college guys are jerks. She's like, I don't know if I'm comfortable with this, and he just takes her head and puts it down. But by the way, the placement, I don't know. I've seen this twice because I watched someone's reaction to this, and so they were calling clips. When he puts her head down, it goes here to his leg, on his left leg. So I'm like, well, they didn't want to actually put her face in his crotch, but it doesn't look right, 'cause it looks like he's putting it on his leg. So I don't know, it's weird. And after this, she's like, writing about how she wants to kill this Heather, and JD happens to come along to play croquet, and we're having sex in the backyard. I don't know where let's play croquet and that happened. They barely know each other, and she's just going to boink him for some reason. Like, this is like the second or third time they've met. He did pull out a gun with blanks. By the way, whether it's now or 1988, expelled. Blanks or not, he's expelled. But they play it off like, it was just blanks. It's fine. It wasn't a real gun. He just put 2 holes in their shirts. It's still a weapon, and he would still get expelled from school for bringing in a weapon. Yeah, they just play it off like, it was blanks, blah, blah, blah. So they plan to, sort of like a revenge thing, she's got a hangover, and they're going to give her this hangover cure that's supposed to make her puke. But notably, JD puts Drano, basically, in one of them. She's like, no. She pushes it over, puts the other stuff in it. But then she accidentally grabs the wrong one, which JD notices, doesn't say anything, and then she chokes on the Drano. The Drano. But I swear, I remember hearing that the guy I was watching react to it, he cut that part out, but I swear when she falls down, she goes, corn nuts! And I'm like, she choked on corn nuts? But then it's like, no, it's Drano, basically. And I'm like, what? Why did she say corn nuts? I don't get it. They have a funeral for her. They also point out earlier on that Veronica can perfectly copy people's handwriting, which comes in handy here. It makes it look like a suicide. So, Yeah. Uh, but yeah. So Veronica ends up getting set up on a double date with another Heather, not Shannon Doherty, but the other one that's left. And with these two jock guys, to be shown are jerks. Basically, take the bullies from just one of the guys and make them worse because they are worse. And they go on this double date because she's sort of forced into it. And JD is watching. And this is some of the weirdest scene. They're basically one of the guys is sexually assaulting that Heather. And Veronica kicks the other guy in the nuts and takes off with JD and leaves Heather there to get sexually assaulted. What? These are supposed to be your friends, right? There was a line after they killed the first Heather where she's like, I just killed my best friend and your worst enemy. Sometimes they're the same thing. Or something like that. So these two are now their victims. So the whole thing is JD says he has his gun. He's got blanks. They're not blanks. These are tranquilizer bullets that look like, how she believes this, I don't know. They'll look like the blood's gonna come out, but it's fine. No. Walk away, woman. Walk away. No. So the whole thing is she seduces both of them out for a threesome in the middle of the woods. Has them get down to their underwear, and then JD shows up and they both are supposed to fire a shot. JD's shot hits his target, but hers misses, and so JD chases after the other guy. She slowly starts to realize they weren't tranquilizer darts, because no shit. But the other guy makes it back, and she shoots the guy in she couldn't really react, so she fired a shot and kills him. They set up to look like they shot themselves. By the way, we never want to see them wipe the guns of fingerprints. So I don't know how they get away with this. And yeah, so the cops heard this gunshot and run out to the middle of the woods to find them. And this is one of the things where you could not do nowadays. Comes out, they're both in underwear, they're both there, and then one pulls out, what are they doing out here? And one pulls out, I think it's supposed to be lube, and he's like, oh, they're F words. They're gay, basically. Words. And they couldn't deal with it because they wouldn't be accepted. You couldn't do this now. I'm surprised this movie has not gotten canceled for the way they portray this. There's no way. In this kind of climate, where everything is all about kissing the butt of people who are gay or lesbian, which, by the way, is not the same thing. People are like, oh, those women, they're gay. No, they're lesbian. Gay is two guys. Lesbian is two women. It's not the same thing. Don't get it twisted. A lesbian or all that, they're all about kissing, but we're all about praising these people nowadays. A movie like this would not come out, and I wonder why no one even says anything. They made a musical a few years ago. I'm betting they left that part up. I'm just saying. But yeah, I did laugh. One of the guy's dad is like, I love my gay son. I'm like, it's hard not to laugh at some of these. So they did this, and now what? Well, she's starting to realize that JD may not be all that he's cracked up to be, you know? So she basically said, no, I'm done with this. I'm done with this, and, I'm not doing this anymore. There's a weird dream in the middle of this where it looks like JD's shown up and they're going to go after the other Heather. That's not Shannon Doherty, but the other one. But it's all a dream or whatever. So JD then goes to Shannon Doherty and says, hey, I want people to sign this petition. That's my favor, because I'll make you, you can be in charge, and we just gotta make a deal. Give me a favor whenever I need it. And he comes to her with this petition. That's the favor. Turns out this petition is actually a school-wide suicide pact, which would not hold up. Especially the way he's going about this, and the way the events are happening when he's going about this. His plan makes no sense, but we'll get to it. I gotta point this out. We're introduced to JD's dad, and there's a weird exchange with them where they basically say each other's dialogue. Where like the dad walks in, and he's like, "Hey son, how you doing today?" And like, "Hey dad, how was work?" You know, I'm like, what is this? This is all to have exposition that he is a demolitionist, basically. And then later we get exposition that there was a building that he blew up, and then he later tells Veronica that basically his mom committed suicide because he saw her walking into the building and waving at him as the place blew up. So it's like that messed with his head. I guess it's supposed to be like an insight to his fucked up psyche. I really don't know. But it's important to the plot. So, after her weird little dream later, Veronica fakes her death, fakes her suicide, and JD comes up. I'm assuming he was there to kill her or make it look like suicide, but she's already done it to herself. So, for some reason, he chooses now, with her dangling there, to throw out his master plan, which I was like, no, that's out of everything in this movie, that's the most unbelievable thing, is he would just throw out his entire plan to a person he presumes to be dead. That is just a lazy way to get exposition out. I'm like, that's the most unbelievable thing in this movie. Why would he have a Bond villain style monologue in front of his dead girlfriend's body? It just doesn't make any sense. Even if he thought she was dead and no one else could hear him, it just doesn't make any sense. But lo and behold, she's not dead. And by the way, I want to point out, her mom is played by the actress who plays the grandma in Charmed, which puts a connection to Shannon Doherty. Years before it would happen. Years. At least 10 years. When did that? 97? 96? So, I don't know. 12 years. No. 6 years. Okay, so 8, 9, 90, 9, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 7, 8 years. 8 years. Of course. Yeah, of course it's 8 years. Basic math. I'm not the best at math. So now she's got to stop his plan, because his plan is that this petition that everyone was signing is actually a school-wide, like I said, school-wide suicide pact. And so he is going to blow up the school. How does that connect to a suicide pact? I want to know this. You think he would have a school-wide gas leak, and it was all like they all said it was set up, and everyone? No, he's gonna blow up because his dad's in munitions. So, yeah. But surprise, Veronica is not dead, and she shows up with a gun that she somehow had, shoots his hand, and then tells him, "How do I stop this?" I don't know, the red button. Which red button? And like, it's kind of stupid because she shoots him again, and he's like, "Oh," and Evans accidentally cut through the wire so it doesn't blow up, and I'm like, nah, that's even dumber than the whole him cutting a monologue to a dead body. Alright, so, he's supposedly dead, so she leaves, and they would just walk through, and he comes out another door, and it's like, it's not done yet, he's gonna blow himself up, and she now doesn't care. He's like, okay, let's say my plan worked, and I blew up the school. You're dead. What are you gonna do with your life? She just pulls out a cigarette and puts it in her mouth, and goes, and so he goes to blow up, and I like how it stops, and he has to hit it to start working again. If I was him, I'd be like, oh, well, I guess I'm not. But, he'd go to jail. So he blows up. We don't see it. We hear it. And we cut back. And Veronica is now basically a Looney Tune with an exploding dust all over her face, and the cigarette is now lit. Because she'd survived being that close to an explosion. And then she walks into the school. She takes the hair scrunchie, which, by the way, I forgot to mention, is what makes you the leader of the Heathers. Puts it on her hair, tells the remaining Heathers, Shannon Doherty, I'm in charge now. And then asks out the heavyset girl to be a friend. Not ask her out, but ask the heavyset girl to come watch movies. Because they play pranks on this heavyset girl, and at one point, she does try to kill herself, but she survives. And they say, oh, she was trying to be cool like the other kids. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense, but whatever. Yeah, I enjoyed this. I don't know if it merits a rewatch for me. I kind of want to get the physical media. Just, I don't know. It's 80s movies have some kind of a hold on me. You know what I mean? They have that kind of je ne sais quoi when it comes to 80s films. I'll give it a very high middle of the road. I don't know that it merits a pretty good, but high middle of the road. So let's pick up the next movie, shall we? I'm trying to get as many done today as I can. I woke up late, so. Campfire Tales. Hey, here's one I've seen years ago. It was on YouTube. Not anymore. So it's an anthology film, so we'll get to that. So yeah. So what are your thoughts on Heathers? Leave no comments below. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Scott, and I'll see you in the next one.